My husband and I were running, and my sports bra just didn't seem to fit right. And I decided that I need to check something. And so did a self-breast exam and found a lump. And decided, though, that it might not be my first hunch, so I let it go for a few weeks. Checked it again, did another breast exam, and sure enough, it was still there. And that's how I found it. I was just shy of my 44th birthday when I found my lump. Yet I waited several weeks to get it confirmed. And when they said it was cancer, it was devastating. Like being punched in the gut. I do have a family history of breast cancer. My grandmother on my dad's side had breast cancer, and it was able to go into remission, but unfortunately it came back later in her life, and it is one of the things that took her life. After the diagnosis, we decided that we did not need to make a hasty decision, and we could do a little bit of research and decide the pathway that we needed to take as far as treatment. It wasn't a decision that needed to be made from our emotions, but could simply be made after looking into all of our options. After the diagnosis and after careful research, the therapy that we chose was breast conservation therapy. We decided that it was not necessarily necessary to take a sledgehammer to a problem that could probably be solved with a fly swatter. And through research and careful consideration, we decided to go with a lumpectomy and chemotherapy along with radiation treatment. I didn't feel that it was necessary to go with a mastectomy or a double mastectomy when the survival rates were essentially the same. And I'm very happy with my decision. As you can imagine, a diagnosis of breast cancer can be devastating. And even more so for me, and the fact that upon my diagnosis I had 4 young children. And how would we go about sharing this information with those children was something that my husband and I had to talk about. We needed to know that what we told them was something that would make them feel confident and know that their mom was going to come out on the other side okay. And I'm glad we took the time to discuss very honestly and openly with our children, who at the time ranged from 2nd grade to a junior in high school, what was coming ahead for not only me as the patient, but also for the family as caretakers. With 4 children, they saw in me changes, but really the biggest changes came from what I saw in them. My daughter, who was the oldest, became a second mother, a caretaker for her younger brothers. I saw a tender side to my youngest son come out. Every day he came by my chair and would check on my head, check how the hair on my head was growing, and say, "Mom, it's getting longer today." And that was so touching to me, but at the same time reassuring for him. And we all grew very close together through this time. One of the things that got me through my cancer treatment was trying to keep a sense of humor. And nothing can tell the story better than when my husband and I were going to the movies one afternoon on one of those rare occasions when I felt great. And like a lot of women, just on impulse and out of habit, I turned down the mirror to check my makeup and found that I only had one eyebrow on. Now, if you are a cancer survivor, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Part of the way through your chemo treatment, you lose all of your hair, and that includes your eyelashes and your eyebrows. And I was having to draw them on every day. And I guess something just had gotten in the way of finishing my makeup that day, but looked down in the mirror, one eyebrow, and at first I was just appalled, but then I just got the giggles and thought it was the funniest thing ever. And we ended up just making a joke that I looked essentially like Mrs. Potato Head. She had essentially forgotten her eyebrow somewhere, and that was me. I get really emotional when I talk about the support system that grew up around me and my family during my time of treatment. I was not expecting the outpouring of love and concern at first from total strangers. From the moment I went in to have surgery, I was given a care basket from a local church whose youth had made up care packages for women they did not even know and had delivered to the surgery center. From that moment to having outpouring from my Sunday school class, who essentially delivered a minimum of 2 meals for almost 6 months to our family, it's hard not to get choked up and know that the support of folks, whether I knew them or not, was carrying me through this time. Even little notes that I would get through the mail, a pair of pajamas that was sent to me, was all showing how much people cared about me and knew that they would be praying for me. I think the support and the resources needed for young mothers who have been diagnosed with breast cancer is vastly different from the support and the resources needed by women who are facing this disease at a different stage of life. With young children, I needed a place to go that could give me reliable information, safe information, and statistics that I could share with my children and my husband that had a lot of questions, with my parents that had a lot of questions. And it was very important to me to avoid the online forums that exist out there that may conjure up more questions than give you answers. And I think a website like Survive Miss is very important to have out there for young women who are facing breast cancer. One of the best pieces of advice that I was given in my cancer treatment was in reference to wigs. An African American friend of mine who probably had more than a dozen had a frank conversation with me one day and said, "Whitney, you need 3 wigs. You need one wig that makes you feel great. And you need to spend as much money on that wig as you would on a dress that you'd wear to our formal dinner. You need a second wig for every day. Make sure that it's made out of real hair and it's cut so that it's comfortable for you. And then, honey, you need a wig that you can throw into the washing machine." And even in that bit of humor was some great advice. I think sometimes we need to be honest with each other, because as young women, image can be very important, from your hair to your makeup, your eyebrows or lack of them. It's very important to have those discussions so that you not only look as well as you can, but that helps you to feel as good as you can. There's a lot of information out there, a lot of information on diet, a lot of information on treatment, and for me it became very overwhelming, and I gave my husband permission to essentially go out there and find information for himself. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm looking forward to the Survive Miss website, because I think it will be a channel that will have a lot of information at one place that will be very helpful to young women like myself. I'm Whitney Pickering, and I'm a breast cancer survivor.